So, a little over 5 months ago, I made a video, one of my most controversial videos, right? Vertical investment versus horizontal investment. Let me close my window real quick. So, the reason I made this video is because even though a lot of people call vertical investment king in this game, I actually consider horizontal investment to be superior. Now, it of course depends on your definition of vertical or horizontal, but I consider vertical basically E0 S0 of any character, right? Like, you don't go into eidolons basically. I could even see you getting like one light cone for a character on the team, usually being the DPS. However, the second you start dipping into eidolons, that is vertical investment, right? And the reason I believe horizontal beats vertical investment, despite what a lot of people think, is because what a lot of people don't really realize is that vertical investment is a lot more expensive than they think at the time. You're allured by like an E2 Phanon, not realizing that this is literally the price of 2 more limited 5-star characters. And given this game's natural power creep progression, Phanon's eidolon investment will probably be a normal thing, if not actually weaker in comparison to version 4 characters. And on top of this, the version power creep you get for characters is usually noticeable enough to the point where old E2s are basically needed to be comparable to the new DPSs at E0. This is probably what will happen going into version 4, as this is what happened with version 2 to version 3. Herda was noticeably stronger than everybody else in version 2, even on launch, and then after, she also got Tribby and got a Noxa, and it's a pretty noticeable gap, right? So I think that vertical is 100% worse, right? I think the only time it's semi worth it is if you're aware that you're missing out on an entirely new character, and if it's on a Harmony specifically, right? Like, I think E1 Robin is still very usable to this day, 100%. I still think that vertical investment into Robin this far into the game is a bit iffy, but I could understand why someone would go for the E1, especially if they have a main team that has Robin as their best in slot. And then you also have Tribby. Tribby is a very, very obvious pick for vertical investment. She has the strongest E1 in the entirety of the game, so that is the most understandable scenario there is. However, once again, even E1 Tribby, I would consider just not worth it, right? Let's take, for example, my Phanon team. My Phanon team on my main account is an E2S1 Phanon, an E1S1 Sunday, an E1 Robin, and a Bronya. So the Robin is 2 cost, the Sunday is 3, and Phanon is 4. So that is 9 cost, right? My Phanon team is worth 2 fully built teams, right? Like 2 fully built teams with the premium units for those characters. That is how much my one E2S1 Phanon team is worth. And even though it looks like it was completely worth it as of current, because of my Phanon being able to zero cycle Pure Fiction on auto, because of him being able to zero cycle everything, right? The reality is, if I didn't go for E2 Phanon and I kept him at like E0S0, E0S1 instead, and I saved all those pulls I put into his E2 for like Cyrene or version 4 DPSs, chances are I would get way better bang for buck if I just waited for a new DPS in version 4 instead of vertically investing so far into Phanon, right? This is the sad reality a lot of people need to accept. Eidolons don't actually like really save you from power creep. They just prolong the inevitable. And this is even more obvious with the version 1 characters. The version 1 characters at the time, the eidolons, looked solid because we were never aware of the eidolon power creep we may be getting in the future. However, these days anyone can look at the version 1 eidolons with revisionism and say this is trash, right? Like, these version 1 characters at E6 are complete trash, right? Unless it's the newly buffed characters, right? But even then, they are still weaker than a lot of the main pushes in version 2, such as Fei Xiao, Acheron, and Firefly, right? And now you have version 3 characters. Almost every single version 3 main DPS gets a 100% overall performance increase from E0 to E2. Not a single version 2 DPS could hit this 100% DPS increase from E0 to E2. Even Firefly, who I'd argue has the best E2 investment in the entirety of the game, and the only one who's competitive with it in version 2 is Fei Xiao, right? So that's my hot take. You don't need to agree with me, but I still stand on this even over 5 months later. Vertical investment in Honkai Star Rail is a scam, and I would never recommend it unless you just love a character. I think this is the one time where vertical investment is completely justifiable. If you like a certain character to such an extent to where you want to use them, you know you're gonna want to use them for a long time to come, going for vertical investment on them makes complete sense. And this is exactly what I did for Phanon. I fully realized I'm putting 2 extra characters for what could be, you know, E1 Cyrene. That could be Yai Sakura or Hanabi, an entirely new team in version 4, instead of going so hard for my Phanon. But I like Phanon so much, and this is a character that I plan and want to use for more than a year, right? I want this character to be my main DPS for a long time to come. And if there's any team on my account that I would replace, it would be my days before it's Phanon's. I like my day in lore and like all that stuff more than Phanon, but I like Phanon's animations and combat more because it's just hype moments and aura, right? That's basically what Phanon is. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Love you all. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Alya's wife. Peace. So there's 7 seconds left before I hit the 8-minute mark. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching the video again. Love you all. Peace.